Kahurangi Carter.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. I have been listening to the debates across the House today, and this issue is so much more important than the emotion that it is being guided by. The emotion from the Privileges Committee, feeling victimised, feeling like they had been takahired on, their emotion has carried into this unprecedented recommendation from the Privileges Committee. And this is an issue that is far too important to be carried by emotion. We saw ministers of this House, we saw members of this House playing the victim over and over again and imploring our side of the House to be reasonable when they are the exact same people who are making decisions that are putting the boot to our most vulnerable tamariki with no regard for tamariki safety, putting this into legislation against the Royal Commission of Inquiry, but yet standing there and playing the victim. And I want to talk about the recommendations of the Privileges Committee report under the Standing Orders 417. There are many consequences to this 21-day stand-down period, to this absolutely ridiculous punishment. And we've heard a lot about tikanga, we've heard a lot about the haka, we've heard a lot about hurt feelings, but what is really, really key here is the consequences for the people outside of this House, the people that we are here to represent. In the coming days and weeks, it is expected that this Parliament is scheduled to debate the second reading of the Mental Health Amendment Bill. A bill that is critical for reform in this country, and we all agree that this is critical. This is a chance to begin undoing decades of systemic harm inflicted through coercive mental health laws. He ara oranga, the report of the government inquiry into mental health and addiction, and I quote, says, despite the current levels of investment, we are not getting the outcomes we want for our people. The outcomes for Māori are worse than for the overall population, and Māori are also subject to much greater use of compulsory treatment and seclusion. There are also unmet mental health needs for Pacific people, disabled people, rainbow communities, the prison population, and refugees and migrants. The estimated reduction in life expectancy of people with severe mental health or addiction challenges is 25 years. Our persistently high suicide rates are of major concern, end quote. Laws that have disproportionately impacted Māori because of stripping away agency and often hope, and yet if this debate occurs as planned, the House will be missing the voice of Debbie Ngāwera Paka, the very person who sat on the Select Committee, who upheld the voices of Māori clinicians, advocates, rangatahi and iwi leaders. What does it say when our democracy, when a critical time comes, a moment to consider reform on this scale that will affect Māori and so many people in this country, is to grapple with a system that has caused so much pain? And the voice of my colleague here, Debbie, who helped shape that reform, is not only missing, but deliberately excluded. The impact of this exclusion will have ripple effects. We might not even be able to comprehend these now. The suspension recommendations, and let's be clear, the 21-day ban for Debbie and Rawiri are without precedence and absolutely ridiculous, and they carry consequences far beyond this chamber. They deny the people they represent the ability to be heard on an issue that cuts to the heart of well-being and rangatiratanga and justice. Māori experience mental distress at higher rates and are more likely to be subjected to compulsory treatment and face worse outcomes in the mental health system. And we need Debbie's voice on this debate. But this government is choosing to exclude such an important Māori voice who speaks for so many strongly. And this House has chosen, these government ministers have chosen to go beyond what was expected, beyond any kind of justification. And if the point of the privileges is to protect the integrity of Parliament, we must ask, what is the integrity of a Parliament that silences those who participate in the select committee process and are best placed to speak to systemic injustice? We have to do better. Now, recently, I was very lucky to represent this Parliament at the Interparliamentary Union, along with colleagues from Labour and colleagues from the National Party. And as a representative of this House, we had the privilege in participating in debates that carry across the world. We were in Uzbekistan, and across almost every conversation I had, whether it was members from the Pacific, from Africa, from Scandinavia, from Latin America or Asia, there was a consistent thread of awe and deep respect for Aotearoa New Zealand's foundation, and in particular for Te Reo Māori, for tikanga Māori, and for our haka as a powerful symbol of identity. I walked into one of the rooms that we were debating in, and someone came up to me and was like, "Is this you? Is this you?" Pointing to Hana doing the haka. Now, of course, it was such an honour at 41 to be mistaken for someone in their 20s. But the point was that this rippled across the world, and the world is watching us. And, you know, that moment, I think Hannah's got about 200 TikTok fans, and maybe this punishment that 200,000 TikTok fans, thank you, oh my gosh, has about 200. And I wonder if, you know, the green-eyed monster is really strong on the other side because they wish they had that kind of reach. They wish they could reach the rest of the world, and how proud they are of Aotearoa for respecting our Indigenous communities. And I am proud of that. I am proud that we as New Zealand have such an incredible reputation on the world stage for how we treat our Indigenous people. And the world is watching, Aotearoa is watching, and the decisions that are made here in this Parliament will ripple around the world. And I think we need to really focus on that disparity, on that gap between how the world perceives us and the actual reality here on the ground. We have worked hard for that reputation, and this could swipe it away just because this government is caught up in making decisions because of emotion instead of fact. This is way too important to be making your decisions based on your emotions and based on your crocodile tears. So let me be clear, the world is watching this House. The international community is witnessing how we in this Parliament treat Indigenous expression, particularly when it is used to challenge power or hold the state to account. What message do we send when a haka performed in this House is not met with understanding, but with punishment, unprecedented punishment? The public in Aotearoa sees this too. Across the communities, there is growing unease at the disproportionate nature of the proposed suspensions. There is a growing kōrero about the double standards, about what behaviour gets silenced and what gets excused. This Parliament is a place of contest and debate. I urge members to consider what legacy we leave behind in this House and how we are seen both at home and internationally.